Hi and welcome to the Malat cookery channel. So today I'm going to be making burger buns. So I've just come back from the supermarket. Not a single supermarket I've been in has burger buns. In fact, it's now the 10th of May 2021. The pandemic restrictions are supposed to be easing, but as far as I can tell, there's now less food in the shops or less produce in the shops than there was 3 or 4 weeks ago. So for me, it's really important to have the basic skills, basic cooking skills, to try and produce most of the stuff that we eat if the supermarket hasn't got it in. I'm hoping that I've got enough of the raw materials to make these burger buns. I'm not sure about sesame seeds, but we'll see. Anyway, this is a really basic recipe, but delicious, produces some really soft rolls and really easy to make as well. As usual, a full list of ingredients will be given at the end of the video. Let's have a look at those ingredients now, as long as I've got them in, of course, and anything else we're going to need for today. So our ingredients list for today's recipe, I've got 500 grams of bread flour, or a nice strong flour, 7-gram sachet of fast action dried yeast. We've got some sesame seeds for the top, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and in this jug I've got 360 millilitres of a lukewarm liquid, and that's made up of 180 millilitres of warm water and 180 millilitres of cold milk. So what I'm hoping to produce here is a really soft texture to the dough. Now there are lots of things that come into play with bread making that can produce that, but 2 of the main basic techniques. One is to have a decent hydration to the dough. That means to have a good liquid content in there. And the second one is that the dough needs to be worked quite extensively in order to produce some really decent gluten strands. Now 2 ways we can do that. One is by hand. That's going to take a long time and a lot of effort. But if you've got a food mixer with a dough hook, that can take obviously a lot of the effort out of that and produce a really soft dough. So I've got the bowl off the food mixer. First thing we want to do is I've got the 500 grams of bread flour in there. We add in the salt and the sugar, the dry ingredients, and just mix that through. Then we want to add in our dried yeast, and again mix that in. So with almost every recipe we start with the dry ingredients and make sure they're well combined before we add any liquid. So now we've got our bowl attached to the food mixer with the dough hook attached. So what we want to do now is obviously we want to add the liquid a little bit at a time. So I'm going to be placing the machine on a low speed to begin with. We want this dough to be really well hydrated, as I said before, so plenty of liquid in there. The end result is we want a dough which is actually a little bit sticky. Not too sticky, but a little bit sticky, so it's a bit uncomfortable to handle, and that'll be absolutely perfect for what we're hoping to achieve as the end result. So just add the liquid, just a little bit at a time. So the amount of liquid is just a guide, that's all it can be. You may need a little bit more, a little bit less. What's the most important thing is the result we want to achieve, which is that slightly sticky dough. Once we've added enough liquid, we're happy with it, and then going to place the machine on a slightly higher than middle setting, speed setting, and we're going to leave it to knead that dough for about 12 to 15 minutes. So once we've finished kneading the dough in the machine, use the same bowl that we've used to actually mix the dough. A little bit of olive oil in the bottom, and just coat the inside of the bowl to So this will just prevent the dough from sticking to the sides as it goes through its first proofing. Put a little bit of olive oil on my hands because this dough is quite tacky. So I'm going to cover this now with cling film or food wrap and leave in a warm part of the house until the dough has doubled in size. So our dough has now doubled in size, took just over an hour to do that. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to divide this now into 6 equal portions. When we're dividing it, handling the dough, that's what's called knocking back. So if you see the term knocking back in bread making, all we're really doing is just taking out some of the large air bubbles within the dough and handling this dough, dividing it into 6 equal portions or dividing it into equal portions will be sufficient to knock it back. So as I said, next step, divide it into 6 equal portions and then I'll show you what happens after that. So we've got our 6 equal portions and I've got an oven-proof tray, high-sided oven-proof tray, which I've placed some plain flour into the bottom so that the dough doesn't stick. The reason for the high sides is once we've shaped the dough, place them into this oven tray, I'm going to be covering the top with cling film or food wrap to ensure that the dough, when it's going through its second proofing, doesn't form a skin over the top, so trying to keep the air off it as much as possible. So what we want to do is no flour on the work surface at all, and just hold the dough between your thumb and forefinger and just kind of feed it up and try and get some surface tension onto the dough itself. Next thing, with the heel of your hand on the work surface, just hold the dough loosely. I'm just going to go around in a circle, and what's happening is the dough is rotating, and again we're getting some nice surface tension on this dough ball. Once we're happy with it, that then goes into our tray, and then we'll obviously move on to the next one. So again, thumb, forefinger, just push that up, create some nice surface tension on that dough ball. Heel of the hand on the work surface, very loosely grip the dough and just move it around in a circular motion. And as my hand's going around this way, the dough is going around counterclockwise. If we had flour on this work surface, what will happen is the dough ball will just slide and we won't get any surface tension or shape to that dough ball at all. Again, place that onto the tray, just move on to the next one. So just repeat that until all of these dough balls are formed. So once we've got our dough balls formed, just space them out equally. Make sure there's some nice space between the dough balls. Space them out equally on our tray and just flatten the dough balls down just slightly. And if you've got a nice dough texture, then these are going to be very, very springy. Once we've done that, a little bit of milk, just brush a tiny bit of milk over the top. Take our sesame seeds, not too many, just a few sesame seeds over the top of each of the dough balls. And once you're happy, cover the tray with some cling film or food wrap, leaving a warm part of the house again, not too exactly double in size, but just for a second proofing, about half an hour, until the dough balls have risen a little bit. 10 minutes before the end of the second proofing, put the oven on 200 degrees centigrade, let that come up to temperature, and then after the second proofing, take off the cling film or food wrap into the center of that preheated oven, and you want to bake these for between 25 and 30 minutes. Okay, so let's see what we've got. Oh, wow, they smell incredible. So there you go, burger buns, absolutely delicious. The smell of them is incredible. Next thing, I'm going to take the burger buns out of the tray onto a wire rack and leave them to cool. Don't, anything like bread, cakes, biscuits, don't allow them to cool on a solid surface because they will sweat underneath. Once they're cool, obviously we can use them. So I've already made the burgers. If you want to see this particular burger recipe, then click in the top right hand corner of the screen now, and that link will take you to this burger recipe. I can't wait, absolutely delicious. So there you go, burger buns, really easy to do, very soft, absolutely delicious. So I did have all the ingredients in, thankfully. For me, making your own bread, burger buns, whatever it might be, is always better than the supermarket purchased products. But of course we go to the supermarket for convenience more than anything else. Please subscribe to the channel, and as usual, if you've enjoyed this particular video, hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.